All right, let's talk about one of the biggest questions in tech today. How in the world do you keep up with AI? I mean, it feels like a brand new, groundbreaking paper or model drops every single day. But here's the thing, the secret isn't about trying to learn faster, it's about learning smarter.
And just to get a sense of the scale we're dealing with, let this number really sink in for a second. In 2023, there were about 1.8 million AI projects just on GitHub alone. That's a literal tidal wave of code, development, and experimentation all happening at once.
And it's not just side projects and open source stuff. The pace of actual formal innovation is, well, it's just staggering. In 2022, more than 62,000 AI patents were granted. Just a few years ago, that number was in the single thousands. This is what exponential growth actually feels like.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. What all this does to the people in the field. This quote really hits the nail on the head. On one side, yeah, there are endless opportunities, which is amazing. But on the other, it is so incredibly easy to feel totally overwhelmed, burnt out, or just get hit with a massive case of imposter syndrome. And if you've ever felt that, believe me, you are not alone.
So that brings us to the million-dollar question, right? How do you actually build a career in AI that's sustainable? One where you can succeed without completely burning yourself out? Well, the answer isn't to just try and drink from a fire hose. It's about having a clear, actionable plan, a roadmap to guide you through all that noise. And that is exactly what we're going to lay out for you. We've taken the best advice out there and boiled it down into a simple 4-step AI learning roadmap. The whole point is to take you from feeling lost and overwhelmed to feeling focused, confident, and in control. So here it is, the whole path, laid right out. We're going to start by building a really solid foundation. Then we'll get you the right tools for the job. After that, we dive into what is honestly the most important part, learning by actually doing. And finally, we'll talk about the strategies you need to make sure you can thrive for the long haul. So let's jump in with step 1. Okay, step 1. Think about it this way. You wouldn't build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand, right? Well, it's the exact same idea here. You can't build a lasting career in AI without a solid foundation in math. It really is the language that all these incredible algorithms are built on. So, what math do you actually need? The most important thing to remember is that it totally depends on what you want to do. If you're just starting out and you want to understand how these models work under the hood, you really just need to focus on the basics. Some linear algebra to handle all the data, and a bit of statistics and probability to make sense of uncertainty. Now, if you want to go deeper, maybe even build your own models from scratch, that's when you start adding in concepts from calculus, like gradient descent, which is basically the engine that lets the models learn in the first place. Okay, on to step 2. Once you've got that conceptual foundation down, you need the right tools to actually bring your ideas to life. And in the world of AI, there is one undisputed champion, the Python programming language and its amazing ecosystem of tools. You can think of these libraries as your personal workshop. NumPy and Pandas, those are your workbenches for slicing, dicing, and cleaning up your data. Matplotlib and Seaborn are your visualization tools. They let you actually see the patterns. Scikit-learn is like your go-to set of power tools for most machine learning jobs. And TensorFlow and PyTorch? Yeah, those are the big guns. That's the heavy machinery you use to build those massive neural networks that are behind all the cutting-edge AI today. And that brings us to what is, without a doubt, the most important step of all. You can read all the theory and you can know all the tools, but that knowledge only really becomes a skill when you apply it. This is where you have to roll up your sleeves and just start building stuff. The good news is, you don't have to wander around in the dark trying to figure this all out on your own. There are fantastic, structured online courses, like Andrew Ng's famous Deep Learning Specialization on Coursera, that give you a guided path. They're designed to connect the theory with the hands-on practice. And this slide right here perfectly illustrates the powerful cycle you want to create for yourself. It's simple. You take a course, say on Intro to Machine Learning, and then you immediately go apply what you learned to a classic project, like predicting who survived the Titanic. You study deep learning, then boom, you go build your own model that can recognize handwritten numbers. You learn about natural language processing, and then you tackle a real-world problem like building a tool to detect hate speech. It's this tight loop of learn then build that really solidifies your skills. And finally, let's bring it all home. Remember that problem of burnout we talked about at the beginning? Well, step 4 is all about making this journey sustainable. It's about building the habits and the mindsets that will let you thrive in this field for years, not just months. Oh man, This one is so powerful. You just have to accept one simple fact. You will never know everything there is to know about AI. It's just moving too fast. It's impossible. So instead of chasing every shiny new thing, focus on really mastering the fundamentals. And, this is crucial, measure your own progress against the person you were 6 months ago, not against every genius you see on social media. Your own growth is the only yardstick that matters.
The other key is to start thinking of yourself as a curator of information, not just a consumer. You have to be super intentional about what you let into your brain. That's how you stay on top of things without getting completely buried by all the noise.
And a healthy information diet, just like a food diet, is all about balance. You want to be pulling from lots of different kinds of sources. You might get your high-level trends from newsletters and podcasts, your deep foundational knowledge from books, the super cutting-edge ideas from research papers, and then get a feel for the conversation from social media. And hey, to get you started, here are some absolutely fantastic resources. Think of it as a starter pack. For newsletters, you can't go wrong with The Batch or Import AI. For podcasts, Lex Friedman or Twimmel AI are amazing. For research, Archive is, well, it's the place to be. And for social media, go follow the people who are actually in the trenches building this stuff. This toolkit right here is your best defense against feeling overwhelmed. So in the end, that's really the secret, isn't it? The goal isn't to get to some imaginary finish line where you can say, I know AI. That line doesn't exist. The real goal is to build a system for yourself that makes learning a lifelong and genuinely exciting process. So, looking at this roadmap, I'll leave you with one simple question. What will you learn next?